I'm Richard Lewis, reporting for cadred.org. We're going to do a bit of a different interview because someone on Reddit, I don't even remember the name, so I apologise, I do pay attention though, said you should get an interview with the guys from the Good Studio. And obviously everyone thinks Too Good. I can get an interview with him like that because, you know, he owes me so much. Not that he'd really ever confess to that, but, you know, we go way back. But nobody really ever talks to this dude, and this guy's Semmler, the kind of guy behind the guy at the Good Studios. So, and we're good friends. We've been out drinking together. We've bonded like dogs sniffing each other's asses and stuff. Yeah. I think we were drunk enough to do that at one point. But anyway, so I thought it'd be nice for you guys to maybe get a bit of insight into, you know, the guy behind the guy for a change, rather than just fucking James with his big mouth. So here's Semmler.
Thanks for the opportunity, mate.
Yeah, that does pretty much sum up the situation.
It does.
Okay. So let's talk about the Good Studio, because I think, personally, looking at it from the outside, it really revolutionized kind of content in terms of you were the first guys to really go all in, create a studio in a house. When you did that, were you nervous that it might totally fucking fail?
Not at all, because what we were planning really was, it's exactly as you said, really. Nobody had done it where they had a studio set up where everybody was in the same room. And we knew that, okay, you know, there's other shows, or we'll take The Good Show, for example. When we came up with the concept for that, it was really just like, well, there's other shows like it, like Live on 3 and State of the Game and all that, but it's all Skype. And it's all cam, and you got to deal with mics and lag and all this bullshit. And, you know, it takes a little bit away from the show. Yeah. Whereas if we're all sitting in the same room, we knew that, okay, great, we're going to have Hellspawn and Newman, two awesome guys that got a lot of experience. They're sitting in the corner. And then we'll have James and me on the front desk. Yeah. And just being able to interact with each other and be able to swap the cams around like that and really show that everybody's in the same room, we all have that kind of brotherly, you know, relationship going on, it really makes for a great dynamic show. And I think that really hit things off. Yeah. You know, afterwards for, you know, the arenas and the other, you know, the Learn to Plays that we were doing, that was great too. But really, you know, I think like The Good Show really kind of exemplifies what we're capable of in the studio. Yeah. And so really happy with that, yeah.
But again, you know, was there any worries? Because, I mean, it must have cost a lot, you know, and to get people to kind of live with you as well and be like, look, we're going to get you in a house and we're all going to live together. I mean, there must have been more than a modicum of risk. Sure
there was. But, you know, it's more along the lines of how many opportunities are you going to get to be able to just move in and really do what you want to do something that you've been doing for fun, and you've been doing it because you love it, but you never really thought that you would have the opportunity, the chance, you know, to really go and do it full time. Yeah. And so that's really what Jay, you know, he had the resources to make it happen. And him being him, he wants to help people get into the industry. He sees opportunities and he takes them, and he kind of just offered it to, you know, like Apollo and myself, Wepa Scriff. You know, he's like, listen, I'm putting this together. How about you come over here with me and we work on this full time? If it works, great. If it doesn't, you know, we'll still have opportunities elsewhere. Yeah. You know, so it was really just kind of a success all around, in the sense that it was a big risk. I picked up everything, like, you know, dropped my savings, everything, and just like went over to Stockholm. I was like, screw it, you know, how many opportunities am I going to get to go and live in Stockholm to work in esports full time? There wasn't even any, you know, doubt. I just did it like in a week. But, you know, for guys like Apollo and everybody like that, sure, there was risk involved, but at the same time, we were really confident. You know, there was never really that idea that, oh, we're going to fail at this. It was always just like, that didn't even cross our minds. We were just like, we're going to kick the shit out of everybody. Yeah. And that's kind of how it's going, although we don't have too much content right now, but that's going to change shortly.
Well, I'll come to that in a second. What I want to ask you about is, I know you're a passive guy. Like, I kind of like your personality, because I think you're confident without being forceful, I think would be a fair description. James, on the other hand, can be quite full on. I would say, you know, not to be harsh about Apollo, but maybe, you know, he's got a big personality as well, because I think that comes with the territory of being a commentator. Yeah. Are there any clashes in the house? I mean, is there ever any times when it's difficult to all get along and pull in the same direction?
It happens, but I mean, it's like anything, man. The house is big enough where...
That isn't a nervousness thing, is it?
No, it's all right.
Just checking.
That's me, you know, getting barely any sleep and drinking all night, so... But it's like any other situation where the house is big enough where everybody has their own kind of personal space, but at the same time, we're all still living together. Yeah. And for the longest time, we actually had all the computers in the same room, so we were all like actually stacked up on each other. And so you do have... When you're doing shows together, you're working together, you're living together basically 24/7. It's like a goddamn relationship without the fun part, you know? And so we were like, eventually, there were some clashes, and you saw that in a couple of the shows where I told James to go fuck himself and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, but I think people might have thought that was perhaps staged a little bit because
there's a bit of the showmanship to it, but at the same time, it's also there are clashes sometimes. But the thing is that we've been really happy with it because it happens, but not nearly as often as we thought it would. Because as you said, there's a lot of big personalities in the house, but we still managed to give each other space and respect each other. And now, after like the time that we've been together, we kind of know that safety zone, where that comfort area, where now it's like, okay, he's just doing his thing, and it's all good, and we don't really bounce too much around anymore. I think having all the events and everything as well has led to more of a natural atmosphere in the house, because everybody, you kind of like, you got Apollo, he jets off for a week, comes back, so you have that space there. James goes here, so it's not always everybody packed on top of each other. So it works out in the end where it's not the madness that everybody thinks it is all the time. It's actually kind of quite relaxed in the house. Everybody kind of just does their thing and lets everybody breathe.
No chance of Total Biscuit calling it a frat house anytime soon.
No. Well.
Or maybe.
We haven't been out that much. When we first moved in, it was like, okay, we're going into Stockholm every night and having a good time. But that's kind of calmed down now, and now we kind of we feel old and Yeah,
I can identify with that. Okay, so let's talk about other shows that are out there, and it might not be a very professional thing to do. I think a lot of them suck. I'm just going to say that now. I think there's a lot of shows that posture, pose as being something they're not. Well, for example, I think he's hampered by the title Real Talk when you don't do Real Talk. But anyway, I'm not going to go into that. What I am going to say is I think a lot of them really let down the community they supposedly serve. I don't think they're high quality. I don't think they're particularly great content. I think a lot of them are kind of pretty much, they're not about the guests they have on, they're about the people whose show it is, without naming names. I don't know if you share that view, but I would like your thoughts on the kind of viewing choices that the StarCraft 2 community has right now, and
StarCraft 2 in particular.
In particular,
yeah, because you do have other shows like Toby's. Forget what it's called. Talk Dota, I think, is what he's doing. But yeah, it's the same thing. It's kind of like they have that that model. It's the tried and true. And let's not take risks. Let's just do it that way. It obviously works. Now it's like trying to find the personalities to make it stand out. Yeah. But I kind of agree with what you're saying, where it is kind of like the personalities making it work for themselves. It's a tricky thing, because if you risk something and it burns out, it messes up or backfires in some sort of way, the community is so fickle that you could actually be buried for it. Yeah. So it's like, do you want to take that risk? But at the same time, you kind of owe it to the community to really put yourself out there and do something that's different.
But I'm always surprised at how much support some of these people get when I look at things that are like clearly fake, clearly staged, clearly over the top. They talk about how passionate they are, and actually a lot of it just comes across as really jaded, like bullshit, to serve up, like second rate.
Yeah,
Personalities seems to go a long way.
Exactly, personality seems to go a long way. People really just want to tune in for the jokes and for the funsies. News they can get anywhere, all that sort of thing. That's why State of the Game did catch some flack when they didn't have say In Control on it anymore, because In Control was such a laugh. With his impressions and everything else. You tuned in to watch him take the piss out of people. So there was that, but it's really like, at the same time, who's qualified to deliver that, and are they getting the recognition that they deserve? Because I think there's actually some very good shows out there, like Chanman's Corner, for example.
Yeah, exactly, and he doesn't get many viewers.
And he gets like 150, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? He's got one of those shows. The last one I believe I watched was Destiny, Morrow, and Desro, and you got Morrow, one of the sharpest minds, Destiny, one of the loudest mouths, and Desro, who's awesome. And it's just like, and they had a very good, solid discussion about the game, about the scene, about everything that was going on in it, and it had like 150 viewers. And I was just like, well, it's a bit of a shame, it feels like the communities have kind of settled on what they want to watch, and then they kind of disregard everything else. And so it takes a lot to really, break in and have that breakout moment where it's like, look at me,
So that brings me on to the next thing, because you've talked about how there isn't a lot of content coming from the Good Studio. So with what we've talked about just in mind, what can we look forward to from the Good Studio? What are you going to be doing different? How are you going to be raising the bar, pushing the envelope, and when is it going to happen?
Well, So what we have going on is actually Draskell and Adebisi are moving over to the house for the next couple of months. They're here at DreamHack right now. They're going to come back with us, and we're all going to kind of just get set up because we have a couple guys moving out of the house. Trance and James are going to be moving into the city, and so that opens up 2 rooms in the house. So they're going to take those, and so that it's still going to be the same number of people in the house. It's just going to move around a little bit. Yeah. But what's really nice is that that's going to offer us a lot of options as far as Dota 2 content because Draskell is one of the best commentators out there. He has a very fine understanding of the game, and Wepus is also in there as well. So they're really, excited to work together. I don't have any say in what they're going to come up with, but I know that they have, like Wepus, for example, has very good ideas as far as what he wants to talk about. And it's going to be, I think, much more in-depth as far as what is actually going on, no fluff, no bullshit in the Dota 2 scene regarding the teams, regarding the players, regarding the changes. But I think they have a couple of good ideas. With IWC, though, we want to do something with Apollo, IWC, and myself, just focused on StarCraft 2. But I'm still kind of toying with ideas as far as like what would be a show that actually, as we were saying earlier, stands out from the pack and actually can offer something that's different and interesting for the viewers. Because who the fuck cares about another talk show? It's like we got 15 of those, and the ones that really do deserve respect aren't getting them, and the other guys are just up on their pedestals. But that's the fun part now. It's like, okay, what can we do that actually stands out? And then I also have a couple ideas that I'm kicking around. But I'm not sure about how I want to make that work yet. So, I mean, there's a lot of movement that's going to be happening. We're still doing the good show. We're still doing the meeting, and I think we're going to get it back into arenas. But as far as the rest of the stuff, work in progress, but definitely going to deliver when we're kind of like Blizzard, Yeah. We'll put it out there when it's fucking ready and when it's going to be good. That's really what we're waiting on.
Kind of like Valve time as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like you don't want to release something and then have it half-assed,
Totally.
And we kind of get away with that sometimes because it's like, oh, it's just James, it's just a good studio, they fucked up, oh well. But at the same time, we want to make sure it's what people want to watch and it's good. So I'm not rushing things.
Is it hard being the guy behind the guy? Because sometimes I feel like in my lowest moments, I feel like, fuck, no one knows who the fuck I am. I do all this work, I've been doing it for years, but ultimately I console myself with the fact that it's not about me. What I'm there to do is talk about other people and give them the pedestal to shine. It's their story that I like to tell, and that's good. I go away and I calm down and I get off my fucking high horse and it's all good again, right? You, a very talented guy, smart guy, done a lot for esports, got a great opportunity in the good house, but you're never going to be front and center. Is that difficult?
At times it is. It's kind of that thing where, well, you know how it is, because I can't claim this pedigree that say James has. He's been around for a decade. He knows everybody. He's done a lot. So he really has this to fall back on. Same with Apollo. He's put in like 2-3 years of solid work. Before that, he's a fucking world champion in Command & Conquer. I mean, the guy's really got that fine history as well going in. So myself, I come from Bloodline Champions, young game. I've only been playing StarCraft 2 for maybe a year now. So it's like I don't have that massive history to fall back on, and so when it comes time to throwing your weight around, it can get a little dicey where it's just like you don't have it's a mix really, because at the same time James enjoys taking the piss out of people and doesn't necessarily always show respect for what you have to say, and so sometimes that gets a little frustrating when you're trying to do a show and you're trying to hold a serious conversation, and then it just kind of devolves from there. And so that's really when I kind of get annoyed with the whole thing. Yeah. But as far as being in the headlights and being the guy in the spotlight and at the center of the stage, I'm not too concerned with that right now. I'm kind of happy learning as much as I can and getting more setting the framework to be able to go from here. And really, I couldn't be in a better place. Good Studio allows me to do this full time and really put my work and put a lot of effort into what we do. And so I have the time to really just devote to that. So really right now it's all about, research and development and just getting better at the game, refining my understanding of StarCraft 2, and really, getting the experience I need to be able to become that guy in the spotlight. So it's getting there. I'm pretty happy with how it's going. It's just it takes a little bit longer than you would wish, but what are you going to do?
It sure does. Okay, last question. It's a bit of an abstract one. If there was one thing you could change, firstly about the Good Studio, and then secondly, about esports as a whole, what would they be and why?
About the Good Studio? Oh, man.
Come on, first thing.
One thing, man. Well,
If you think too much about
No,
it.
no,
If you think too much about it, you'll do a PR answer. It'll be like real talk. I can't be bothered.
No. The funny thing is that the first thing that jumped into my mind was we don't have enough whiskey in the house.
Okay.
But that's the problem. I have that reputation now of being like this drunk alcoholic. But no, it's not the case. I just enjoy whiskey in the evening. But that's true. We don't have enough whiskey in the house, so I'd change that.
Okay. And esports in general.
Esports in general is.
Like literally, you click your fingers and it's done.
There's so many things I would want to change, though. So many things. Foreigner. I'll just give you a list of things.
Okay.
No more bullshitting around with the leagues. Make it serious, and they're taking steps to that. Let's see what they fucking come up with, though. ESL, DreamHack, MLG. What is actually at the base of that alliance? Is it just jerking each other off, or is there something that's going to come from it? I'm waiting with bated breath. I've been asking around. I can't get a straight answer.
Me either, funnily enough.
Yeah. Go figure. And then, players, foreign players, I would love to see more support for them so that they can rival the Korean players, because now it's just Korea versus the world, and it's always like that. We just saw that with BWC, 4 Koreans in the top, four Korean Protoss, top 4. Okay, where were the foreigner players? And that's every goddamn tournament. It's not even like, okay, let's see if a foreigner gets there. It's just like, which Korean do you think is going to make it this time? And so I really wish that we could see a bit more out of the foreigner scene. It'll get there. It's just me bitching for the time being. Man, there's so much.
Oh look, I don't want to keep you because we'll be here all fucking day.
I know, but that's the problem, man.
I know.
Conversation. It's like 3 hours later. Oh shit.
But I know you've got stuff to do, like nurse a hangover in.
No. I'm actually really excited, man. I'm gonna go and check out the arena right now.
Yeah,
so
it's fucking sweet.
Yeah. So everything is in Shinarps. It's in the hockey arena again, like last year. So I'm gonna go and check that out. And I also get to see there's like WoW PVE going on as well right now. So I'm gonna go check that out and see what. Seeing as how we've been asking Blizzard for that for like 8 years. At least when I was playing the game, we'd always wondered, are they gonna release that sort of thing? And they're finally doing it. So I kind of want to go and see what that actually looks like. But, exciting times. There's always new things to look forward to, and it's really, fun.
It's been great to talk to you finally on camera. That is the guy behind the guy at the Good Studios. Good old Semmler.
A lot of rambling, I'm sorry.
No. It works out good. So anyway, do stay tuned to the website. We're going to have more interviews like this one from DreamHack Winter 2012.